Right, hello everybody, welcome to another video, and this one is a tutorial on all of the fire node rings. I know a lot of people struggle with it, and especially because you need it for the Grand Tour a bit later on. Obviously, for It's Volcano to Not Volcanto is one of the ones you will need it for, and you will need to go to the volcano. And the very last one on this page, which is Ridge Over Troubled Water, which is for you to go to the Glaciers. That is another hard task. It's especially hard because I really don't like the Favela boss jump. That's a personal opinion of mine, but I really don't like it. I have obviously done all these before, considering that I have the To Lux Bike. But if you like uninstall the game and reinstall it or something like that, because I had to do that because the game had bugged a while back. I do have the To Lux Bike on this account, but I'm going to recommend that you go for the Trail bike, the very top one, which is, if you aren't sponsored, you'll have this anyway because it's the default bike in the game, but you very much will need this one because it's the most balanced and average bike for all of the tasks that you'll be doing. I have got the controller cam on for you because I know a lot of the people that do play this game play on controller over keyboard, but anyway, if you play on keyboard, you're probably comfortable enough to know what I'm talking about when I say that you need to tweak and so on. This is hopefully a seed that has the firing on it, which it does. Very nice. Thank you very much, descend.it and seeds. That is a website that I used to grab this node, and I'll put this this exact seed will go in the description of the video, one for Highlands and everything, so you can practice this jump. So we're going to start here. Actually, I'll probably start where the actual flags are, because if you don't do that, then you won't have the full amount of speed that you would get each time that you reset. So I'm just going to pop myself here. It is around the corner. What I think to do is usually it is really nice to have speed wobbles, because if you don't have it, you're going to be wibbling and wobbling around, and I tweak like that to get through it. Obviously, I had too much speed there, so it does definitely matter on your speed. All boss jumps are different because of the fact that the hill that they spawn on can vary like greatly. It really does depend. You can either do it like that, where you slow down and just make it. I wouldn't go for any tricks if I was you doing it. Just make sure you get through it, because the tricks don't really matter. Depending on what boss jump you do, this one is more of an arc where it will go up and down, and the canyons one is one that goes sort of straight through, because the boss jump's firing hangs a bit differently on the canyon to this one, so it is different between each boss jump. But I definitely recommend that each time that you do this, you do have to feel it out, and it might take a few lives, but I would 100% tweak yourself out, because when you're in the air, obviously, as you could see, you sort of just end up being horizontal and you're very flat, so a lot of the top and bottom of the hoop, you will never touch it, and that's what you're sort of aiming for, because a lot of people can get it straight onto the boss jump. It really just is, the difficult bit is making sure that you're low enough or high enough, and that's the only really major issue that a lot of people struggle with. But I really do recommend that you tweak, and that's sort of whatever speed I was going for there is what you'll have to practice for. It is really just a feeling. It feels right and you usually get through it. I'll see what speed I actually go at. I am playing in kilometers an hour. If you do play in miles per hour, it obviously is different. I am bunny hopping, and that was from rather close. I didn't look at the speed there, but I'll enlarge it for you whilst I edit the video, so it's a lot easier to see. Right, here we go. We're starting at the bush jump. Sometimes this hill can be very different. It can either be really steep or it can be very long like this. It really just depends on how it wants to spawn. A lot of the time I recommend on this boss jump that you just try and land on the roof. Okay, I wasn't expecting to actually make it through there. If you struggle with this boss jump, try and just land on the top of the actual fire or watchtower itself, and then just hop down. But this one is definitely just practice sort of this and making sure that you can get through it. Obviously sometimes it's a bit difficult. There I don't have speed wobbles, so you could see that my guy was just sort of wobbling away, and that's a bit of an issue, but there's something that you sort of just have to, it is tough. I mean, it is meant to be a hard challenge. That's why it's a secret area that not a lot of people have even got to themselves because of that fact. But also tapping your wheels on the top, although it is hard to recover from, it does work, and I'm obviously struggling here, and I'll give it a few attempts until I can land it quite consistently, and then I'll show you what I'm doing. Oh my god, the speed wobbles is sending me every time. Definitely get speed wobbles, because this is a big issue, and I didn't realise how bad of an issue it'd be. Oh, it is actually kind of awful. Speed wobbles makes this so much easier. because you won't just... Because when you have speed wobbles, you don't have control of what your bike's going to do at high speed. So when you're lining yourself up, it will just randomly throw you to one side if it feels like it. And that's definitely something that's quite tough. Tucking up there and just leaning back to make sure my head actually made it. You do have to think on your feet and very quickly. It would have been a lot easier if I tweaked out there because it still works the same way. Obviously, each boss jump actually does have a different sort of speed limit for it. It is very different depending on what one you have, and sometimes when they spawn so differently that it's quite hard to sort of tell. See there, I tweaked out, made it quite easily through, and it is just mainly feeling. Once you've done it a few times, obviously it's going to be a lot harder because each time that you fail you'll be sacrificing a life, rather in here where I'm not sacrificing any lives whatsoever. But when you do this yourself, for when you actually play, for when you try and get to the kids room, or not the kids room, when you try to go for the volcano, or when you try and go to the ridges, it's obviously going to be a bit different because of the fact that you will have different boss jumps and the fact that it is just different in general. And each time that you go for a boss jump, it's going to generate a different seed. Sometimes you will get the same one, but it's a very, very small percentage that it will ever happen. So it's mainly you just have to sort of get used to it, and it is quite tough because it's just a matter of experience and then just having the feeling for, this feels about right, I think I'll make it. That's sort of how it works. See here, I still sometimes probably won't... There, speed wobbles chucked me off to the side because I was trying to counteract them, and that's not what you want to happen. So get speed wobbles because this will definitely help with the boss jumps and make it a lot easier for yourself. Sometimes you won't have boss jumps that spawn like this. This is an extremely weird run-up. For this one, I've never seen it like this before. And make sure you tuck up at the end. I never really talk about tucking up, but it is actually a thing that comes in the tutorial of this game. If you tuck up, it's just me just pushing up on your right stick, because it makes it so you have a slight increase at taking impact. Obviously, hopefully you should have better impact, you know, the bitter impact perk, the one we talk about a lot of the time. That perk, you should hopefully have that, and try and go for the bale armor, because any time that you'll fall off of a boss jump, you are most likely going to lose 2 lives instead of 1, so that can burn through your lives really, really fast, and you don't want that to be happening. I'm going to set it here because I have a feeling it's going to be a long build up. Right, this is the only one that's really, really different because of the fact that if you hop, you will most likely make it over it. And a tip here, oh my god, a tip for this boss jump that no one ever thinks about is, you see those walls that are on the side of the, sort of like when I land, there's like 2 walls either side. They can clutch up for you and nobody ever really realizes it, that you can use these as a ramp. If you overshoot it and you think you're going to land flat and going to bail, aim for the walls. Honestly, it's a great tip for this boss jump to make sure you survive it. No one ever really thinks about it, and I feel like I'm the only person that does it. I could be wrong, everyone might do it. I just feel like that I just do it and don't tell anyone. But it is very different for this boss jump because of the fact that this one, the fire hoop is placed a lot lower than every other one. So if you bunny hop, you're most likely just going to send it completely wrong. But there you go. If you tweak to the side, it makes it so much easier, and especially for this one, and I mean it for this one, do tweak, because if you don't, you'll be higher in the hoop than on average, so you're more likely to hit your head on the top of it. And if you want to stop that from happening, obviously do tweak because it makes it a lot easier. Right, what I'll do here is I'll actually just ride through it upwards and see what happens. Boom, my head gets chopped off. So what you want to do there is just tweak, because the hoop is wide enough that you can fit your bike through sideways, but you're not really gonna make it vertically, and obviously slowing down can make it very different. And because of this one is placed lower, you're gonna do this more often than you will make it, and either you'll hop over the hoop itself or you'll just end up doing that instead. So this one is a bit of the, this is one that I find the toughest because of the way that it spawns. Right, this is the first boss jump, right, that is incredibly different when you have the fire node. If you've never actually played the Peaks boss jump before with the fire node, it is actually completely different to the one with the without the fire node. You know that ramp that usually spawns in the middle that everyone has issues with landing on and getting the right speed to jump off of it? Well, that's not even there anymore. They completely remove it and replace it with the fire ring itself. I definitely recommend, sometimes this spawns you a bit low and you don't have enough speed, so if I was you, I'd ride back up a little bit, turn round and just climb a little bit up the hill. If you're ever struggling with that, it is a bit tough, but what you want to do is just lean forward on your left stick, because it means that he can climb steeper inclines, because without it, sometimes he can do it and sometimes he can't. It really does depend. But we'll set off for this one, and as you can see, there's no ramp whatsoever. This is going to be a lot difficult, well, a lot more difficult, because of the fact that the speed is obviously going to be super high, and the fact that the speed wobbles are really going to nicely screw you over here if you don't have speed wobbles. But once again, tweaking to get through it and tucking up on the landing usually makes it a lot easier, because you don't have that ramp. You either will make it perfectly, or even if you miss, you're probably going to land on the other side and be fine. So it's not too bad on this one. If you're going for the golden run, when I did my golden run, I actually did it with this instead, I'm pretty sure, because I think this is an easier boss jump. This is such an easier boss jump than having the ramp. At least I believe it is, because of the fact that there's no ramp that you need to have a specific speed to land on to then make it the other way. You can sort of just dodge it and sometimes make it. Obviously, I'm just proving myself wrong by saying that, but I feel like this is an easier boss jump. It's just all about managing speed. That's really all it is. A lot of the time, obviously, you're not going to be able to do what I do and reset if I mess it up. So just tap the brake ever so slightly when you get to the bottom of the ramp, and just make sure, I think, I'm going to look when I do it, I think you have to be around like 80 to make it. Yeah, if you make it around 80, maybe like 75 even, 79, 78 is a good speed for when you come off the ramp. Ooh, okay. It is very random, but I tucked up there and I made it. So yeah, it is one that you're going to have to practice, and it might take you a few attempts, but just try and make sure that you get enough lives and make sure you have the good perks, and that's really all you need. It might take you a few attempts. Sometimes it takes me a few attempts. I usually do this in a multiplayer lobby because then I can depend on other people. If you don't have other friends, that's obviously different, because I've got a ton of viewers that like to join in. Sorry, my controller disconnected. But yeah, I have a ton of viewers that like to join in, and it makes it a lot easier because you can depend on other people. If one person makes it in the multiplayer lobby, it counts for everyone else. So if you're ever struggling, try and find someone that you know that's good at the game. Don't come to me, because obviously I don't want to spend my whole life playing this game helping every single person in the world. But yeah, I do have other stuff to do, but I'm sorry, I can't help everyone. If you catch me on stream sometimes, maybe I can do it for you. It really does depend, because sometimes we do different things. But it is quite tough, and obviously it's meant to be tough to get to the next area. But once you're in the volcano, don't bother doing a fire node, because you don't need it. It doesn't matter. You're already in the area, so making a fire node appear on the last boss jump for you whilst you're in the volcano doesn't even make any sense, because you're just making it harder for no reason. Originally I had done it when I made the how to get into the volcano video. It was like my first video on the channel, but you don't really need to do it at all. Right, into the desert now, you know, my favourite little area. I wondered, like, I didn't call myself Pyramid for this exact reason, but it kind of worked out that I spent most of my time in an area where there's pyramids around me. That's quite hilarious, and I only really realised that recently. This one's quite different because of the fact that sometimes you spawn miles away from where the boss jump is, and this one is quite tough because a lot of the time when you do this boss jump, you make it so you barely ever come off of the floor here, and you just don't have enough speed. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it. See, this is what I mean. I bonked the bottom of the rim because I didn't have enough speed. This is so super dependent on speed that it can really be tough. If you're ever struggling for speed, try and get on these outside bits because they dip around a bit more, and you can sort of get a lot more speed if you ride these properly. It's obviously very different. Oh, okay, don't moon jump that because it kills all your speed. Don't do that. Okay, make sure you pump, ride, and jump. That is the best. Oh my god. Okay, this boss jump is horrible because sometimes it just genuinely doesn't spawn properly. This is what I'm on about. Sometimes you do not have control over this because of the fact that the game just generated a bad node. It can happen, and don't blame yourself on it, especially if it happens here. At least it's the first one. I've had the Favela boss jump spawn, and it doesn't even give you enough speed to come anywhere near to hopping over his head. I'm going to pump on this ramp to hopefully get a bit more speed. Hop, make it, and yeah. You do need to just, if you ever... Oh, I actually got the... You see that? Fireball _ hang time. That is actually for the Mischief Tour. That gives you the Ring of Fire. Huh, odd. I think it actually, this one, collects over all of the different fire rings you've done. So if you're ever struggling with this, do a bunch of firing nodes and it ends up working out. Or you can sort of do what I did originally, which was just try and hang in it. But yeah, it is. This one's a bit odd, but it also actually... I didn't even think about that. This also can work out for this one as well if you're ever having trouble with it. This one is incredibly similar to the Canyons boss jump, and I really do mean this by the fact that it is another one where it's further out than it is going up. So my best advice for this one, do not bunny hop on this because you'll need you don't need the height, you need the distance, and making sure that you have it at the right speed. See, if I didn't tweak there, I would have clonked my head. Tweaking is genuinely the biggest bit of advice I can give you, is just tweak anytime you go through the fire node. Don't do any other tweak, don't do any other trick. Just honestly tweak, and that's all you need to do, and you'll make it every single time. Honestly, it's that easy that just tweaking makes it so much easier. Oh, here we go. This is the worst boss jump in the game, and I hate it. I absolutely despise this boss jump. Just because half of the time, anytime I play it, it never spawns properly. Okay, this one spawned really nicely, actually. This is probably the best spawning one, because that is set up actually perfectly. What the hell is that? If I didn't get speed wobbled off to the left there, I would have been making that completely fine. And through and up, and also you can tuck up and it will make it a lot easier. Well, usually that one is a big problem. Sometimes, and I promise you, sometimes it doesn't spawn properly and you've just got bad RNG. It's happened to me before, and sometimes it really doesn't work. Right, this is the only boss jump that actually goes up instead of anything else. This one you do need a lot of speed for, because it's a big arse jump. And if you don't make it, this is the one that is actually going to be really nice to you. Because of the way that the boss jump works, you go up and you land on a very... So at the peak of your jump, you're basically touching the floor where you got to land. So any drop that you would have isn't going to kill you unless you obviously don't make it far enough. But this is usually quite fair. I actually like this one most of the time because of the fact that it spawns so nicely. Obviously the run up is a bit weird and sometimes you can have a bit of bump in the floor. But this is... I'm just going to tap the brake there. But as you can see, it is really simple. And even if I miss it, I'm going to land and be safe. So this is your one where if you're ever worried, this is probably your safety net, because it's not really going to be much of an issue. And a lot of the time, as you can see there, as much as I missed the boss jump firing, I actually was on the same height that it was. So even if I made it through, I would have been completely fine. Right, let's actually make it through. Tucking up ever so slightly, because I noticed that I was falling a tad bit low, and tucking up really can help you, because it will just nudge you above the ring. Simple as that. Obviously, you can tweak this one as well, because that will also give you the same amount of height, but you just got to make sure you actually are going in the correct direction. I am tapping the brake ever so slightly for this, but a lot of the time I am just going off to the one side, and that's where speed wobbles is really going to help you out. You're definitely going to be wanting to hit the center of the ramp, and that is definitely a skill issue if you can't do that. As you can see that I'm struggling with it right now because I'm skill issuing. But look, I'm hitting the center of the ramp and I'm then going off to the side. But I bonked it, and even if you bonk it, it still counts. Especially if you do touch it, it really, really counts because of the fact that you touched the ring. But it is really as simple as that. Fire nodes and stuff like that. Fire nodes can be the one problem because sometimes, especially in here, you get that silly little hole in the floor, and I absolutely hate it. Same with the peaks. Sometimes you get it, but that one's not too bad because 90% of the time you can actually ride around it. But yeah, it is really as simple as that, and fire nodes aren't really an issue. It's just something you need to get used to. But I'll leave the link to this website that allows you to generate loads of different types of nodes. So if you want a specific one, so you want the Highlands one with a fire ring and it's really steep and it's got no curves, then I can do that for you because this website allows you to do that, and it's really cool that this actually works. Thank you all very much for watching, and thank you very much to my money havers, Andrew, Grim, Luna and Francis, and a special thank you to Francis for supporting the channel for an entire year. I really do appreciate that. I did a little community post about it, but I really do appreciate you just continuing to support the channel, even though I've never seen you comment or message in the live stream or even in the Discord. I still appreciate you supporting the channel. Thank you very much for that. Subscribe for more of this stuff, and I'll see you a lot later. Goodbye.